Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I work with a lot of individuals with attachment wounds. Today, I wanted to go over particularly what an avoidant craves in a relationship, a romantic relationship, excuse me if that wasn't obvious. The reason why I chose the word craves specifically for this topic is a lot of individuals who are avoidantly attached, both fearful and dismissive avoidant, I see it with both of them, they actually don't feel that they deserve, or they don't feel like they're actually going to ever get this. So it's more of a craving because it is a desire. It's just a very deep desire because they suppress even believing that this exists. And so they get very deeply attached to an individual who can show that this is possible in relationships. They're actually ashamed of wanting some of these things because they don't feel like they deserve it to some extent. They don't believe it's real. They understand. A lot of avoidants actually do understand that what they want in relationships is not necessarily as, unfortunately, not as acceptable because of their need for space and their need for time and their need for freedom, which some people can think that can threaten a relationship, which too much of it can. And so they end up craving a lot of these aspects because they feel like they're never going to get it. So it's almost like a desire, sometimes a fantasy, but it is very real. And I find it not to be completely, I don't think it's horrible. I don't think it's not reasonable, but some people do. So I understand if some of these things make people upset, and I respect that. I know one of these, somebody's going to crash out in the comments and be upset about it, and I understand. I completely understand. But I still want to be honest with you. I don't think it's fair if I sugarcoat things. So let me go ahead and jump right in. And the first one is not too bad. It's respect. And this one is really important to a lot of avoidance. I think this one is one of the most important. And what do I mean by respect and how is that perceived for an avoidant? Respect means that you can understand who they are and respect their perspective of things. An avoidant typically has a very rigid sense of what they're looking for and what they want. And they are usually, if they're healthy and wanting to start committing towards their relationship, if they're healthy enough or if they're trying to be healthy, they're usually willing to be flexible. But typically, they're not, even when they're healed, they're not going to be entirely as fully flexible as perhaps an individual who's secure. And so they want to be respected when they say, this is the boundary that they set. So kind of an example of that would be if an avoidant is stating that they don't like birthday parties. Like they don't do birthday parties. Not just for you, but for themselves. They don't like big birthday parties. That might be a boundary that they set right now. And while it can change, a person that respects the boundary they set, that is something an avoidant deeply craves because they don't feel like it's ever going to happen. That's actually why a lot of avoidants say a lot of things like, I never want to get married, or I'm not ready for a relationship, or I'm not what you want. I hear that a lot, right? I can't give you what you want. Yeah, that's the one. That one's really common. They're not saying that because they're not trying to say, I don't want you. A lot of anxious individuals think that means that the avoidant is saying, I don't like you, I don't want you. That's not typically what they're saying. What they're saying is typically, I'm giving you a disclaimer because I already know you're not going to respect the boundary I put. That's what they perceive. When I put a boundary down and say, I'm not ready for marriage, they think you're going to push back on them and you're going to almost force them into being married. And so that's why they put that boundary down, so that when they say they don't want to get married, that you don't get too upset or feel like it's unexpected because they already told you preemptively. I don't know if that made sense. And so they feel like they're really craving the desire, the feeling that when they set a boundary, no, I don't want this right now, that you as a partner might say, okay, like I respect that. You're different than me, but that's okay. This seems like it's really important to you. You wouldn't put it down this strongly unless you really meant it. And I see that you're flexible in other areas, even if it might not be that often. So I do understand how important this is, right? Something along those lines, just to make an avoidant really understand they are acceptable, they are lovable, and everybody's different, right? And so respect is really important. The next one goes really hand in hand with respect, and that's acceptance, right? I accept that maybe you're never going to be that social. Like maybe you're never going to have, I don't know, 20 friends or travel to New York every month to see X, Y, and Z, or you're never going to go out of your way to show me off or whatever it may be. They may never really do those things. Some do. Some avoidants are social, but a lot of them are not. And so just accepting whatever they are, however they are, and accepting their pace of things. This is also really important, right? So if an avoidant is taking a little bit longer to open up, maybe they don't have, they're not ready for bedroom intimacy. Often they can be intimate in the bedroom in the beginning stages of the relationship. But when it gets to connecting with somebody in a very close, connected relationship emotionally, that's when a lot of the physical intimacy decreases, especially in the bedroom. And they want to slowly go towards that again without any pressure and just accepting, I know you're not a very physically intimate person. Because especially men, they feel very ashamed that they feel like this because they feel like they're broken. Why all these men want this? How come I don't? I've actually had many patients that mention that. Why am I broken like this? And if you as a partner can accept them, they really crave being accepted because actually the truth is they don't really accept themselves, whether you believe that or not. A lot of them don't. And so that's very important that they're accepted. They feel they very much crave that. They get very attached to individuals who accept them. It's really important. The next one is kindness. And I want to give some examples that I've heard. And these are just examples, but they are pretty common. So you guys may have even heard it as well. They really, really need a lot of kindness, maybe a little bit of like a delicate touch. I'm not sure how to explain that, which is why I put some examples. I'm going to put some examples in here. Basically, a lot of avoidance when they open up. Basically, when a lot of avoidants open up, they don't want to be judged. They're afraid of you judging them for their raw selves, right? Their unfiltered self. And sometimes it's because it's not as polished. And so often they will say things like, okay, you want me to open up. I will open up, but please be kind. Or, okay, I'll tell you, but please be gentle. Or please don't make fun of me, right? And unfortunately, this is something they don't get a lot of. I'm just being honest. This is something they really crave. You can see it all over the internet. You can see it a lot of people are not kind to avoidance. They're not kind. I almost take it as though because people take what they're doing so personal, avoidants feel more and more shut off, and they really, really crave kindness because this is unfortunate. I feel bad saying this, but it's true. It's actually much more rare for someone to be kind to an avoidant. And they know that, which is why they don't like to tell you how they feel because there's a chance that you will say something harsh to them. You will say something mean to them. A lot of people feel like they're entitled to say mean and harsh things to avoidants because they feel hurt by an avoidant. A lot of individuals who are avoidant are not doing it on purpose. It does not give you the right, from my perspective, and a lot of avoidants feel like this too. It doesn't give you the right to be mean to them and say they're vicious or they're evil or they're broken or they're probably not most of them are not doing it on purpose. So you just being kind to them and listening to them and treating them like how you want to be treated is something that they value deeply and they crave it very, very much so. Very much so. The next one is security. A lot of avoidant individuals want to feel like it's a secure relationship, that you're not going to leave if they mess up. If you're not going to say, you know what, X, Y, and Z's boyfriend does this, you don't do that, I guess I'm going to go on, I don't know, a dating app and start meeting people considering you can't give me what I want, right? That right there said one step out of line from what I want, or not one step out of line, but you know what I mean, hopefully. You're not doing what I expect at this certain time, and I feel like I deserve better, so I'm going to say these things that threaten our relationship, and you're going to have to deal with it. Now, I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but that's how they perceive it. And it can be very scary because in their mind, they think, okay, I gave myself in this relationship and I'm trying my best, and this person is walking out on me, and I'm doing my very best. I guess I'm not good enough. And this relationship is not secure. And I'm not sure what to do because I don't have the tools to do so. And this person is not walking me through or being patient with me. I feel like I'm being threatened. Now, I understand that can come across pretty negatively, and I'm sorry if that's offensive, because I understand that everybody comes from a different place, and a lot of avoidant individuals are very difficult. So I'm not saying stay with somebody who mistreats you. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying from their perspective, they like security, and typically all people do. Most people do, sorry. They want security in the relationship. They want to know that instead of you walking out, you're going to try and make it work somehow. And I know it's not easy. It's a lot to deal with. So I'm not saying to stay. I'm just saying that's what they desire. That's what they crave. They crave a stable relationship, right? The next one is they crave, I guess, calm love instead of continuous fighting, or even passionate love. A lot of avoidants are not a fan of what many people might describe as a passionate love. They may have relationships that were passionate at one point, but they do typically perceive passion and can, like, I don't know, because a lot of people, when they think passion, they sometimes also consider it with the up and down type of perspective. I hope that makes sense. Like, a lot of back and forth, a lot of arguing, off and on type style. A lot of people perceive that as passionate. Unfortunately, media doesn't help with that. A lot of media perceives love as that way, but avoidants tend to feel much more comfortable. And this is something that's a lot of them are not aware of, but they tend to get more aware once they get it. They actually really crave a calm and secure love that has not much fighting in it. Like, not continuous fighting, not much picking, not much nagging. So I would describe it as calm, a very calm love. They're looking for something like that, which is very similar to what we talked about, like stable. Number 4 was stable. They like the stability, but they also like the fact that it's not very reactive, right? That maybe after a fight, you guys can go back to what you guys were before. A lot of individuals get really confused about this one when they have a fight with their avoidant partner. The avoidant partner, just like the next day, they act like it's okay. And a lot of people take that very offensively because they think, okay, that means you didn't care, it didn't shake you, you're not hurt by it. None of that is true, but avoidants perceive love. And if they really love you and care about you, they are thinking they're giving you love because that's what they perceive as love, if that makes sense. They think they're giving you what you want because that's what they want, which is a calm, like healthy, what they perceive as healthy. And it is healthy to some extent, by the way. A calm love that's without much fighting. Fighting can we don't need to bleed it into our relationship. It doesn't need to ruin our whole relationship. It doesn't need to ruin our whole week. What we are together is more important than the fights we have, right? And I think they do need to be less conflict avoidant. I do believe that, but I think that there is a lot of good to that particular one, right? And the 6th one, and I think this may be triggering for some people. And I want to also preface, not all avoidants are like this. And this is not necessarily 100% healthy. It can be, but usually in moderation. Sometimes avoidants take this one a little bit too far. And that is a sense of similarity. And secure individuals have this too, but avoidants are just more strict with this. And this is a little bit more common with fearful avoidants, but it also is with dismissive avoidance. And that's actually why the pair of fearful avoidant and dismissive avoidance tend to be a little bit more manageable for both of them, because they both like the sense of similarity, which both avoidants can have, right? And what is this sense of similarity that I'm talking about? That means both of you guys don't like to socialize that much, for example. Maybe you both have a very similar financial profile or portfolio, in the sense that both of you guys, maybe you both have a full-time job, maybe you both have a house, you both have a car that's fully paid off, maybe you have a low interest rate on your mortgage. I know it sounds really specific, which is why I figured some people might not like this one, but avoidants like individuals who have in their mind, they feel like this means they have similar goals, and they perceive it as, some of the things we talked about before. If we're similar, then you'll be able to respect me better, which is why you don't always need this one, but they kind of use it to really, it helps avoidants trust their partner, because if you guys are similar, you'll respect them more. That's number one we talked about. You will accept them more because you're like them. That's number two. You'll be more kind towards them because you're like that as well. Number three. Four, you'll be less likely to leave security because you understand them. And five, you won't fight as much about certain things because you have a lot of things going on in your life that's also valuable, right? It could also be like similar fitness goals. It could be similar future plans, regardless of being in a relationship or not. Maybe you still want to do certain things. Avoidants really feel really good knowing that these things are in place. They crave this. Most avoidants can probably agree with a lot of these. These are things they crave deeply, and this helps them fall in love, but not just fall in love, because love is important in relationships. But long-lasting relationships, there are many people who fall in love they don't last long. But this is like I would say like the formula. So that sounds a little weird. Maybe that's a placeholder word. We'll see. The formula for how to have a long-term relationship, a long-lasting relationship that includes love, and the avoidant is going to be very less triggered when these aspects are in place, if that makes sense. So that's respect, acceptance, kindness, security, calm love instead of volatility, and a sense of similarity. I hope that makes sense. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and I will see you in the next one.